In 1973, Grosset and Dunlap printed the Nancy Drew Cookbook. I have no idea why Nancy Drew never cooks. Her family has their own personal chef. All of Nancy Drew's recipes probably look like this. Tell Hannah to make meatloaf. Watch TV until she's done. Enjoy! To make the cookbook more Nancy Drew-like, they included 2 one-page stories. The first story has all the Nancy Drew characters arriving in Nancy's kitchen to cook a potluck meal. In the second story, Nancy goes through a neighbor's kitchen in search of a missing ring. It's pretty generous of me to call them stories. They're basically just a list of characters and food. But if you're a Nancy Drew completist and you absolutely must read every Nancy Drew thing ever, could you please share your collection with me? I'm missing a lot of books. The author has a fondness for pineapples in Worcestershire Worcester sauce. As for the recipes, they're all named after Nancy Drew books and characters, like Double Jink Salad or 99 Steps French Toast. Don't worry, the recipe is only 3 steps. Ha ha ha! The easiest recipe is probably Larkspur Lane sandwiches, which is put marmalade on bread slices. Even I can't screw up that recipe. Katie and I went through the entire book and we found 12 recipes worth trying out. It took several months, but I finally cooked them all. Here's how they turned out. Recipe 1, Hollow Oak Nest Eggs. Katie says that nest eggs are a standard breakfast dish, but I honestly never heard of them before. The way it works is that you cut a hole in toast and put an egg inside so it looks like an egg in a bird's nest. It looks cute if you can make it correctly. I cooked this with Mary and we dropped an egg on the floor. Not the best way to start the cookbook review. I think nest eggs might be good if cooked correctly, but this particular recipe is bad and it leaves everything severely undercooked. I give it a 3 out of 10, Mary gives it a yucky. Recipe 2, Ned's Potato Pancakes. You grate potatoes, then mix them with an egg, flour, and salt. Cook them in a frying pan, and done! For some reason, my potatoes changed color from white to reddish brown. Is that normal? Anyway, these aren't the fancy latkes that they serve in restaurants, but I like them because I can cook them without much work. I give it a 9, Katie gives it a 7. Recipe 3, Emerson Cookout Potatoes. The recipe starts with frying bacon, and already I'm lost because I don't know how to cook bacon. After that, you slice potatoes and onions into thin pieces. I can't do that without cutting my fingers off, so I used large slices. You smother the vegetables with the bacon and half a pound of cheese and butter. Wrap it up in aluminum foil and cook it for an hour on a barbecue grill. I don't have a barbecue grill, so I use the oven. So, I changed about half the steps because I'm not a good cook. Maybe that's why this recipe didn't turn out so well. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's basically scalloped potatoes with bacon. I think it'd be better in a casserole dish, because that way the cheese doesn't stick to the aluminum foil and get all nasty. I give it a 5 out of 10, Katie gave it a 7.5. Recipe 4, English-style chops with herbs. You mix basil, marjoram, thyme, and salt, then rub it on your chops. Let the herbs sink in, then you broil the chops for 5 minutes on both sides. This turned out pretty well, probably because I went online and researched what an oven broiler was before using it. Also, I've never had chops before, so I had nothing to compare it with. I give it a 9, Katie also gives it a 9. Recipe 5, Bungalow Mystery Salad. To make the mystery salad, you mix orange juice, pineapple juice, lemons, bananas, ginger ale, and sugar. Pour the liquid into cupcake things, then put your salad in the freezer. Done! How is this a salad? And how do you eat it? It's frozen juice! There's not even a popsicle stick or anything. This is not a salad! I'm putting Bungalow Mystery Salad on par with the Bungalow Mystery Book that removed the bungalow. My score is a 3 out of 10, but Katie gave it a 7 out of 10, and 3 plus 7 is 10, so 10 out of 10? Recipe 6, Bert's Pizza. It's mini pizzas! You put cheese and tomato sauce on English muffins and you're done. I loved these as a kid, but Mary is a real-life kid and she hated them. She likes Nancy Drew, though, so there's hope for her yet. I give it an 8 out of 10. Katie gives it a 7 out of 10. Mary gave it a 0 out of 10. Recipe number 7, Dave's Deviled Potatoes. This is supposed to be like deviled eggs. You mix sour cream, sugar, and mustard, put in mashed potatoes, and cook it in the oven for a while. They tasted really good, even though they looked kind of weird and yellowy. I must have done something wrong, because they made us all sick. Katie and I both gave them a 3 out of 10. Recipe number 8, Hannas Cheese Puffs. You make cheese sandwiches and you soak them in a milk and egg mixture. Once they absorb the liquid, bake them in the oven for 30 minutes. I tried this out mainly because I wanted to see what it tastes like. It tastes like soggy French toast. Mary gave it a 5 because she's 5 years old. I give it a 3. Recipe number 9, Bess's Secret Chocolate Waffles. You mix butter with sugar, chocolate, eggs, flour, salt, and cinnamon. I couldn't figure out how to get the butter to work, so I put the entire thing in the microwave for a minute and a half. I'm sure that goes against one of the cardinal rules of cooking. Step number 2 is apparently know how to make pancakes ahead of time, because pouring pancake batter into the pan is ridiculously difficult. The first batch came out completely destroyed, either because they were too big, or because medium-high temperature is too hot for pancakes. I should also note, flipping pancakes is impossible. That's impossible as well. To my surprise, it turned out that half of the sugar did not mix into the batter. I have no idea why. Maybe that half cup of sugar was just grumpy. So I made the pancakes, and just as the recipe suggests, I served it with ice cream. Maybe that's why Bess is so overweight. She puts ice cream on her pancakes. Well, the pancakes ended up being okay, considering that they're supposed to be waffles. They actually tasted a little bit like flat chocolate cake. I imagine they taste a lot better if they're made by somebody who knows what they're doing. But it doesn't matter. My family couldn't be bothered to eat the special breakfasts I made for them. So I give my family a 0 out of 10. As for the waffles, I give it a 7 out of 10. Katie gives it a 5 out of 10. Recipe number 10, Detective Burgers. You brown meat, you add ketchup and mustard, stir everything together, cover it on low heat for a half hour. Then you put it on bread slices. Good luck trying to eat it without the burger falling apart on you. I give it a 7 out of 10. Katie gives it a 5. Recipe number 11, Crooked Bannister Cornbread. To give you a sense of how bad I am at cooking, Katie yelled and stopped me during this recipe. The recipe calls for a cup of flour, and it turns out that this cup is completely different from this cup. Why didn't the book mention that a cup is different from a cup? Did I mess up on every single recipe because of this? Back to the recipe, it's a traditional cornbread recipe from the days before they used sugar in cornbread. You know the recipe that comes on the side of the cornmeal box? It's that recipe. Except you only have a tablespoon of sugar, not 2 cups. But is it a cup or is it a cup? Blech. Also, you sift the flour and cornmeal mixture into the milk and eggs mixture. I give it a 6 out of 10. Katie gives it a 7. Recipe number 12, Jewel Box Easter Eggs, saving the best for last. Mix butter with cream cheese and slowly add powdered sugar. If you add too much at once, it looks like this. You want to roll the mixture into egg shapes, then put them in the fridge for a few hours. For the outside of the eggs, you want to mix butter, chocolate, and paraffin in a double boiler. Or, just improvise with what you have. It melts very slowly, but since the chocolate isn't hot, you can easily dip the eggs into the chocolate with your fingers. I don't have pictures of this because it's ridiculously messy. My hands were coated with chocolate and it took me about 2 minutes to wash it all off. Mary and I made big eggs, but that was a mistake. You're supposed to make eggs the same size as a teaspoon. That way you can taste the chocolate coating better. With these big ones, pretty much all you can taste is the sugary center. It still tastes good, but it's not how the recipe is supposed to go. In my defense, though, the original recipe makes 100 Easter eggs, and that's about 90 more than I need. I give it an 8 out of 10. Katie gave it a 7 out of 10. That is the end of my recipe tryout. I also made a rice recipe, but I forgot to take pictures of it. Sorry. I added up all the scores to come up with a final score for this book. My family and I give the Nancy Drew Cookbook a 6.06 out of 10. Oh, and Katie says she didn't want to hurt my feelings, so she usually added 2 extra points to her scores. So the real score is probably going to be a little bit lower.